This is Susan Wilbanks with blendedinsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic.
Hello, Bright Soul. Thank you so much for joining me on another podcast. We are here. We woke up. We have breath in our body. We have the ears to hear. We have the eyes to see. And we have so much to be grateful for. And I, for one, am very grateful for you. So thank you for being here. And if you haven't checked out our High Vibe Lightworker Tribe over on Patreon, you can click in the show notes below and visit, see if you feel like it resonates, it's a good fit for you. And as always, the Pause Breathwork app is also linked under the Pause Breathwork programs in my show notes. I use the app more than anything else. And for today, I want to talk about the past only exists in the mind. I am seeing this so much where, and I know it's me because of my aura and who I am and what I'm here to do. When I sit and talk with people often start to talk about what they don't want based on what happened in the past. And I get that's what you don't want, but what do you want today? The past only exists in the mind. The other thing I get is people will say, this happened to me, or I went to this healer and this healer told me this. And it's years ago, and it's not even serving them anymore. Everything exists in energetic potential. And what happened to you in the past is not a representation of what will happen to you today. We change. Our bodies change. Our vibrations change. Us as energetic beings change. And you really have to get to a point of, do I want to be happy today? Or do I want to continue to focus in the rear view and carry along all of my limiting thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, all the things that happened to me in the past, and make that my story today? Because it really is a choice. And we all do it to some extent, and it is a constant redirection. And I know we talk a lot about mindfulness, but honestly, it is so powerful. One of the things you can do is if you find yourself going back into the past and beating yourself up over past decisions that have brought you to where you are today, is search for a color in the room. It's the easiest way to ground yourself. Let me find something red in my belongings or in my surroundings right now. And as your mind is searching for this and you're giving your mind something to focus on, you let go of that for a minute. Physical exercise is tremendously helpful. Guided visualizations are a good way to get your mind focusing on a new direction, a forward direction, as opposed to focused in the past all the time. And one of the things I do know is your future is being created now by the things that you're doing right now. Your behaviors, what you're focusing on, how you're showing up is now. We can't change the past. So no matter what decisions you've made in the past, who you were in the past, it doesn't define who you are today. I even shared a previous podcast about how there was a time when I would go ride roller coasters and I would get really dizzy. So there was a certain period of my time where I thought, well, I don't want to ride roller coasters because I don't want it to make me dizzy. And then I rode one. I tried it and it did not make me dizzy. And it's just another reminder to myself, what didn't work before may work now. You know, I used to be allergic to bees as a child, and I was told I probably outgrew that as an adult. I probably am not allergic now. There are certain foods that I didn't like in the past. I may try it today. I might like it. So the past is there. Our mind remembers it just to help us because our brain is a survival mechanism. It's given to us to survive this material dense world, but it's not always accurate. Our feelings are not always accurate because what comes first, the feeling or the emotion? The emotion comes first. That's an unconscious reaction to our stimuli. The feeling happens after we attach a meaning to it. And one of the things that you can do just to put yourself into a better state is to release that old story and tell yourself a new story, because the stories of the past don't always serve us. And we always have the opportunity to sit in the here and now and expand our awareness by challenging those beliefs and those thoughts that we continue to tell ourselves. The emotion will pass if you just let it pass. It's when we grab it and start making up all these stories. We make up so many stories about how we interpret events. And it's always through our own lens. We see the world through our own lens. That's why I remember years ago, Dr. Wayne Dyer used to tell a story about how he was walking. I get he's making it up. It isn't his story. It's like an old folk tale where someone is walking, I don't know, on a beach, and then they had just moved to this new place, or they're wanting to move to this new place. I might be butchering it, but stick with me. There's a point here. And this person asks a random man, how are people here? Like, what do you think about it? And the man asks him back, well, what is the place like that you currently live? And he says, oh, it's horrible. The people are horrible, blah, blah, blah. And so the man says, well, you'll find the same thing here. Meaning, wherever you go, there you are, because it's based on the way you interpret the world. And it's based on what you're focusing on, because we do have enormous power. And, I used to not believe this. I used to think it was like fluff. Like, okay, that's just new age hokey pokey that people just do the positive Pollyanna thing. But as I've watched clients and myself, my own journey, and as I personally myself have trained my mind, I have noticed the shifts in my own life, and I've watched it in the lives of my clients. And I also see the energetic thought forms that people pull into their aura in private practice when they are in a crappy place. And sorry if the word crappy offends you, if there's little ears. I know everybody's different, and we have to navigate through everyone's sensitivities these days. Anyway, I don't want to digress. So I can see when they are like ingesting substances, because that pulls stuff into your aura. I can see when they are listening to things or engaging in activities or around people that are clouding them. I can also see when they're doing their meditation practice, when they're, living healthy, living clean, doing all the things that we talk about here. It shows. And that's one of the things I love about the work I do, because you can tell me things, but I can look. And I am also being looked at through my teachers, through my mentors, through people. They can tell when I'm not doing it. So there's an accountability, but there's also a freedom in it, knowing that the system works if you work the system. And doing your own work is incredibly rewarding. I understand that it's not easy. It is simple, but it's not always easy. The easy thing is to numb out and do everything that everybody else does. The problem is, though, your teachers, your guides, your inner self, your higher self knows that you know better. And when you know better, you're expected to do better. And I'm sorry, friends, we're at a point in the path where we're expected to do better. And I'm in it too. I'm raising my hand. I know. I get it. But I'm on the journey with you. You're not on the journey alone. And we can totally do this. We are doing it. And so my invitation is just to redirect yourself. Hey, do I want to be happy here and now? What I'm thinking about now, this is what is going to create my future, and it determines how I feel in this moment. So let me let go of the past. I can't change it. Who I was then is not who I am now. And I need to let go of those chains, break those chains, and focus on where I am now, who I am now. What can I do today? What thoughts, actions, beliefs, behaviors can I do today to get me to the place where I want to be? And we can be working toward it with an intention, with a goal, and also staying centered in the present moment through our mindfulness, through our practices, and being so grateful. Gratitude is like this amazing lubricant of life. It really is. It makes everything easier. It creates a flow. It uplifts your vibration. I'm not talking about fake gratitude. I'm talking about genuine gratitude, getting into how it feels when you are so incredibly grateful for any and everything in your life, knowing that there is a cosmic order to life. There is a divine plan. We don't always understand it, but we can look back at our life, how events unfolded and how we could never imagine the perfection in which it all unfolded, and use that as evidence that it's going to work out again. And we know that we have the history to tell us that. However, that the positive history moments are affirmation for, I know this can work again because it's worked before. I don't know how, but I know that it can. And then letting all that go, because that's really faith. Faith is walking through the unseen, trusting that it's going to unfold perfectly. It is trusting that maybe you don't know the future, but you know who does hold the future, and you trust that, and you're close and you're connected and you're listening. And that is how we walk through the dark nights. That's how we walk through every single day, but particularly in the darkness. because you got to listen. And those dark nights come to bring us closer to our spiritual practice. It's always a choice. But I know for me, when I'm feeling like, oh gosh, it's getting dark, I'm getting tugged on, people are starting to bombard me, connect to my outer aura. I can feel it, and people start sending me pages upon pages of emails and grabbing and grabbing and grabbing. And then people that are external to me that aren't necessarily doing the work but know me, I get that too. And then it starts to get, and then this is when it's like, oh gosh, okay, wait a minute. I got to get centered and grounded, block all that noise out, and listen to my daily guidance, my moment by moment guidance sometimes. And so for me, it causes me to pull in and go deeper and ground harder and make sure that I am anchored. Whereas I know some other people just unplug and revert back. And there's another podcast I did about that, rising or reverting. I'm always going to choose to rise. Even if there's a tendency to want to revert a little bit, I can't stay there. I've done too much work and my guides are too loud to allow me to do that. And I know that it would be so painful if I don't continue to rise. So I got to pick myself up and drag myself to the next level. So you can do it. That's the point here. You can do it. So let's go into a healing. You can uncross your arms and legs and focus on your breathing. I will turn the healing on. Okay, and so it is. You can come back into your body. And once again, friends, the Patreon link is in the show notes as well as the pause breath work. And I thank you so much. You can totally do this. Eyes front, focus on the here and now. What can you do today? There's so much to be grateful for, and I'm grateful for you. And I want to wish you a beautiful week. Take care. Bye-bye.